channel coming on YouTube. Wanted to get you on it real
Sure,
quick.
sure, no problem.
Awesome. So what's going on with the plant-based with you? You love it here? It's all good?
I think it's vitally important. Number one, we have to eat more plants. I mean, let's just start there.
Yep.
And if we can, as human beings, I'm a carnivore. I'm not giving up my, whole roasted chicken.
Indeed.
But, I am, all natural chickens raised the right way are expensive, right? So I roast one a week. And if I want a chicken sandwich, both for my waistline and for a sustainability practice, I finally found a plant-based chicken product in Tyndall that actually tastes like chicken and has the texture of chicken.
It's very good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And there's a great company, Good Catch is doing the same thing with fish, and there are lots of companies doing amazing plant-based stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can, as an eating community in the United States, if we could start doing, take a couple of plant-based meat meals a week, eat some vegan or vegetarian meals each week, add those to the diet, just 4 or 5 meals a week out of 21.
Absolutely.
Right? We would reduce our reliance on these factory farms that are damaging not only to the animals, but damaging our environment. Those algae tides and blooms in the Gulf and in other estuarial environments like in the Chesapeake or out in the Pacific Northwest come from runoff from chemicals that are used on these farms, 99% of them. And yes, some come from factories that are dumping chemicals into river systems, but the majority are leaks built up over 30 years from these giant CAFO farms where cows and pigs and lambs are standing, ankle deep in their own muck.
Yep.
And I truly believe to solve the problems that we have created in our world, to solve the climate crisis, to solve our hunger equity issues so that every American knows where their meals are coming from, to solve so many of our social ills today, there is one of 12 things we can do, and that one thing is to eat more plants and plant-based products.
Okay.
So why not?
Right.
And I would, by the way, dare anyone to try some of the stuff that we're cooking here today and tell me it's not delicious and it doesn't, scratch your chicken itch.
I've been coming to the show for 17 years, and this food, plant-based, has just boomed in the last few years.
Yeah.
5 years ago?
Not so good.
Not so good. Now?
Do it's funny. I mean, it's just like aquaculture, right? 30 years ago, farm-raised trout, farm-raised salmon was not only unsustainable, eating too much food to justify the weight that was harvested, but it was mushy and flaccid and didn't taste right. And you now taste, farm-raised trout from Riverence in Idaho, right?
Yeah.
Or, farm-raised salmon from Quaroy.
Open water cobia.
It's open water cobia. It's Pacifico, striped bass. I mean, I can keep going on and on and on.
Yeah.
These companies have figured it out, and side by side with wild fish, you cannot tell the difference.
Yeah.
And so the simple fact of the matter is that this is not something that we should be arguing about. I still enjoy, at some point this week, I'm going to have Copper River salmon at home. The fishery just opened, and I do that every year.
Yeah.
But for the rest of the year, I'm eating farm-raised salmon because because it's delicious, and I believe it's one of many, many reasons that, or many, many things we need to do to solve our problem.
As long as the farmers are feeding them good food.
Well, that's correct, and thankfully, it used to be about 7-8 years ago, we'd gotten it from 20-1 down to about an 8-1 for salmon feed, right?
Okay.
And that was unsustainable.
Okay.
And about 7 years ago, several companies all cracked the code, and now it's 1 for 1.
Yeah.
And they're using fish brine, small fish, sardine and anchovy, bone and skin and stuff like that. They're purchasing these products, they're turning it into pellets. Yeah. They now have robotic feed systems that don't flood that into the water. They only put what the fish will eat. It used to be that we would put, one fish for every cubic yard. Now it's 1 for every 2 cubic yards. So there's more space for them, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I've been down in these aquaculture farms on 4 different continents and seen them. The fish are not crowded, they're happy, they're swimming, the pens are gigantic, the currents are swift and cold, they're feeding them the right way, and the feed is 1-to-1, and the product is delicious. So why not?
Yeah.
Why not? I'm not trying to tell people to never eat a wild fish. I'm just saying combine wild with aquaculture, with plant-based, and you then start to make a real dent in the problem children of our food system.
That's correct. And I'm a big fan personally of the Alaska seafood system.
Yeah, me
the
too.
Red salmon up there. I mean, they just had the largest harvest in Bristol Bay last year.
That's right.
In 100 years.
That's right.
Because they manage it correctly.
That is correct.
And it's a good fish.
But here's the thing. If everyone descends on that, and we're going to do to them what we did to cod, half a generation ago. So why not enjoy that massive harvest from that year, right? I mean, look at what's happened with lobster. We're the same generation.
Yeah.
25 years ago, lobster was so expensive. I remember the harvests were small. Starting about 10 years ago, they started getting into a boom decade, right?
Yep.
And now we're coming out of the boom decade because the water is warming, and all the lobster is slowly marching north. So in another 10 years, Newfoundland and the eastern Canadian provinces, they're going to have a boom. We're going to be buying more lobster from Canada than we're producing in Massachusetts and New Hampshire and Maine, right? And that's just the way the environment is working. So it's going to start to get expensive again. So we should be seeking out food solutions that are alternatives and restore some balance to our planet. I think it's of vital importance.
Awesome. Andrew, thank you. Loved it. Good
Thanks.
question.
Have a good day.